10 simple ways for AEW to overtake the absolute juggernaut that is known as WWE. Now, it goes without saying, it is going to take a lot, and I mean a lot, and a very long time to come close to overtaking WWE. But in this video, I want to go over 10 simple things that they can do to at least get close, at least push WWE, at least make WWE lose a bit of sleep at night, knowing that AEW are on their tail, and then who knows, maybe overtake one day, because it's going to take a lot to get a lot of fans from WWE over to AEW, especially fans that have only known WWE their entire life. It's the only company they've known and watched. Even if those fans are absolutely sick of WWE, which most are, it is still going to take a lot to get them fully over watching AEW and not WWE. And I tell you what, it's going to take a lot more than putting on good matches every week, because you know you're going to get at least one good match every Dynamite, right? For years, you can go back through every single Dynamite that they've put on since they existed, and you'll find a good match, at least one good match on every single show, or at least 99% of them. But their viewership has gone down. It's half of what it used to be. They used to be in and around 1 million. When they dropped below 1 million, they would get laughed at. It would become a joke, right? They'd get mocked for dropping below 1 million. Now they're in the 500s. So, and that's just putting on good matches. So that clearly isn't working. They need to do a lot more than that. So, I want to go over 10 ways that can help them in the direction of kicking WWE up the arse, because they absolutely need it. So, number one, the biggest one, the most important one for any wrestling company: storylines. Storylines that make you need to watch Dynamite every single week, because it's good. It's all good. Giving us a good PLE I keep saying PLE. I keep saying PLE when it comes to AEW. It's pay-per-view. I've heard the word PLE more than any other word I've heard in the past few months. With how many PLEs WWE has thrown at us. PLE, like I say it in my sleep. I wake up saying PLE. I dream PLE. It's ridiculous. Pay-per-view. It's all good. Giving us a great pay-per-view. And trust me, they are great. They are great. But they never... We need storylines. We need storylines week to week on Dynamite to make people watch the weekly shows. Because then you'll get even more viewers for your pay-per-views. Storylines are huge. They are everything. Just ask Eric Bischoff what the NWO storyline did for WCW. Ask him how huge and how much of an impact that had on that company in overtaking WWE back in the day. Huge. Ask Vince Well, actually, I don't know how you're going to go about asking Vince. Maybe if you're a female, you might have a better chance of getting through to him. But we won't go there. Ask Vince if you can somehow get hold of him. Ask him. Right? How big of an impact and how huge that Stone Cold Mr. McMahon storyline was. Absolutely monumental. Huge. Talked about to this day as one of the biggest things we've ever witnessed. It was the peak of the best era we have ever witnessed in professional wrestling. Even recently, say the last 5 years, right? Or even, you know what? Take it 10 years. 10 years. The best thing we've seen in WWE, for me, and I think this is pretty much Fact, even if it's not your number one, it should be top three. Best thing you've witnessed in WWE in the past 10 years is Bloodline story. The peak of it. The peak of it. Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and then Sammy. Peak. It was incredible. Storytelling. Like emotion. It was just storytelling, perfectly done every time it was on TV. So then, when you did get the culminating moment, Royal Rumble, they turn on they turn on Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn hits Roman with the chair. Incredible, right? A moment we're all going to remember for the rest of our life because it was incredible. Because the storyline leading up to it was incredible. So that moment was just everything. It was the culmination and it was perfect. Storylines are everything. They make you need to watch every single week. Now, take pay-per-views, right? For AEW, take All In, take Double or Nothing. Imagine how much better and bigger they would be, which doesn't even seem possible because they are so good, right? But trust me, if they had incredible storylines going into it, multiple incredible storylines that had you on the edge of your seat watching Dynamite and Collision every single week to see what happens next, the pay-per-views would be so much more special and even bigger and even better. And then guess what? You'd continue to watch Dynamite every week after the pay-per-view to see what the aftermath of the storyline, the aftermath of the culmination of that storyline. What storylines are we going to go into next for the next pay-per-view? Storylines. WWE doesn't even know what a storyline is anymore. There's genuinely zero in that entire company. They forgot what it is. Michael Cole goes out there and tells you they're a storytelling company when they have none. AEW needs to give us captivating, interesting storylines every week to make people watch Dynamite, and then viewership goes up, interest goes up, and we're off to the races. Everything is great from there. Number 2, larger than life characters. Now, I know it is very, very difficult for a company like AEW to create a larger than life character because they're simply not as mainstream as WWE. They're not going to be able to create a Roman Reigns or a John Cena or a Stone Cold Rock. They're simply not going to be able to. At this stage in AEW's lifespan, they're only a few years in still. Let's not forget. So it's very difficult for them to do that. But they can at least make their stars feel like huge, big deals, right? Take someone like Hangman Page. Huge potential to be an absolute megastar in professional wrestling, right? Huge potential to be that. And probably will be one day. But he comes out of All In. He's got the headlines. Everyone's talking about him in a positive way. Everyone's raving about how good it was. Incredible match. Huge moment for him. And then 2 weeks later, he's just in a match with Wheeler Yuta on a Dynamite. You know what I mean? Like, take peak Roman Reigns. I use WWE examples because that's my bread and butter. Take peak Roman Reigns, tribal chief, head of the table. Imagine you just started putting him in SmackDown matches every week. Suddenly he's diluted. It's not as special anymore, right? Because you see him in matches every week. Hangman, you can still have him on TV every week, absolutely. Storylines, moments, promos, feuds, all of it, yeah? But you start putting him in 6-man tags and random tag team, random matches. It might have been good with Wheeler Yuta. In fact, it was good because I saw it. And I liked the ending of it. So no real complaints. But we can't keep doing it because suddenly, as I say, it gets diluted. We have to make people feel like a huge deal. And I know Tony Khan is probably the same thing that Vince used to have, where you don't want to book someone too big because then if they jump ship, you've built someone up for them to jump ship and benefit off of that, and the other company gets to benefit off of that. So Tony Khan is probably a bit worried about that, understandably so. He builds someone up to be a megastar and then they go to WWE. I get it. But you cannot think like that. You have to think about your company first and your viewership and your interest and everyone watching you and paying attention to your wrestlers. That's what you have to concentrate on. Make your wrestlers, your stars, feel like big, huge deals. Because if you get a big face, right, a Hangman Page, and you make him feel just like a megastar, and then you get a heel, MJF, and you do the same thing with him. Huge heel, huge face, big storyline, culminating at a pay-per-view. It's what professional wrestling is. That is professional wrestling. They need to at least attempt to do that. As I say, impossible for them to create a larger-than-life household name. Not going to happen. At this point in AEW's life, it's not going to happen. But they can try to create huge names and huge stars and at least just attempt to make their stars feel bigger, better, just bigger names and bigger spectacle when they're on TV. Number three, momentum and consistency is what they need more than anything, along with storylines. They are desperate for it because you have a great pay-per-view like All In, Double or Nothing, these great events that even WWE fans that are very tribal towards WWE, even they are like, okay, that was very good. Whether they watched or not, they can acknowledge, okay, that was very good. And then people that did watch absolutely loved it, right? But then it doesn't really continue. People aren't watching the pay-per-view saying, oh my God, that was incredible, and then watching Dynamite because look at the viewership for After All In. The Dynamite After All In, I'm pretty certain, was in the 500,000s, which is awful. Because they don't continue momentum. They need consistency. You have a great pay-per-view. You need to capitalize on that. Everyone is talking about you. The whole professional wrestling world is talking about you in a positive, glowing way. Everyone is complimenting you. Everyone is raving about how good your event was. Capitalize on that. Use that. Make people tune into your dynamites. Give people a reason to, not just a reason, a need to watch Dynamite. Storylines. We'll go back to storylines. Every week leading up to the pay-per-view. They need momentum. They need consistency. Now, I know it's unrealistic and impossible to put on a great show every single week. Even Prime Attitude Era, they wasn't putting on great shows every single week. So you're going to have dull weeks, you're going to have filler weeks, but they need more just pure consistency. Like, give us good shows and not just good matches. Good shows from top to bottom more often. Give us big moments, which we'll get to later in this video, but just momentum is what they are so desperate for. It's happened more than once now. It's happened multiple times. They have a great event. Everyone loved it. Then they just go back to dip. They dip again, back to the 500s. What you need to do is capitalize on that. Capitalize on everyone talking about you in the most positive way possible. Everyone loved your event. Biggest event of your year. And then after, it's just back to routine, back to the 500s. You need to capitalize on that. Everyone is sick of WWE. They need a reason. They need a reason to tune into your show every week and not WWE, but your show instead. Or maybe even both. But either way, they need a reason to tune into your show, and you don't really... They put on good shows. Dynamite most weeks is decent. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. So we'll call it in the middle. Decent. Dynamite is decent, right? Decent to good, we'll say. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Decent to good. That decent to good is not going to be enough to bring over new fans. New fans want good to great. That's what's going to bring new fans. So momentum and consistency is what they are desperate for. Number 4, bit more of a simple one. Cliffhangers. Cliffhangers at the end of shows are so important. It goes along with storylines, kind of, but cliffhangers at the end of shows are massive. They are so important because you end a show with a cliffhanger, everyone needs to see next week. They need to tune into Dynamite next week to see what happens next, or to find out what happened after the show ended. You need to tune in. You cannot miss it. It is absolute must-see TV, as The Miz would say. Absolute must-see TV. You need to see it. Not just you want to see it. Not just you might see it if you got a chance. No. You're going to cancel your plans to tune in because you cannot miss it. Don't care. You got a wedding? Cancelled. You got a funeral? Cancelled. You're going to see your girlfriend? Cancelled. Right? You've got a romantic date with a 10 out of 10? Cancelled. Because you need to see what's going to happen next in this storyline. What happened at the end of the show? What's going to happen next? It goes along with storylines, but cliffhangers are so important because you need to tune in next week. WWE used to do it all the time. Now, never happens. Just ends in a match, ends in a promo. That's it. Face to black. AEW can do that. Cliffhangers are so important to making people need to tune in the following week, which also goes along with momentum. So it all comes together. Number 5. Now, I've wrote down some notes for this video because I have a very bad memory and I would forget all of these. Number 5, I have just wrote MJF because he is incredible. He needs to be the face of AEW. When you think AEW, you automatically think MJF. Because you see what he's doing with this Happy Gilmore press tour, doing all these interviews and all these different things. He does not look out of place at all. He looks like he was made for this. Like he was put on this earth to be the face of a professional wrestling company. Right? Like what John Cena is for WWE. You put him in any position and he's going to represent the company perfectly. That's what MJF is. And he's so good at everything. Every aspect of professional wrestling, he has nailed perfectly. He doesn't need to do the flips. He doesn't need to do a super 570 flip off the top rope through a table to 5 different people standing there waiting to catch him. He doesn't need to do any of that. He's so good. I love MJF. I don't want WWE to get him because WWE has found a way to ruin John Cena and Roman Reigns. Triple H has. So Triple H could find a way to ruin absolutely everybody. Anyone. So he would ruin MJF. So I don't want WWE to get him. I think he'd be really good there, but I think most likely they would ruin him. MJF has to be the face of AEW, hopefully for a very long time. Number 6. Now, number 6 isn't something that they need to start doing. It is something that they are already doing that they just need to continue doing, which is making pay-per-views, not PLEs. I've worked on it. I've corrected myself. Making your pay-per-views feel special, big. AEW needs to make themselves the king of pay-per-views, the standard when it comes to pay-per-views, which they are. AEW do pay-per-views perfectly. Every time you tune into a big AEW show, you know you are in for a fun, entertaining, exciting night, pretty much from top to bottom. Whereas WWE is kind of the opposite. WWE went on a run a while ago of having good PLE, like Raws and SmackDowns were absolutely horrendous, depressing, awful, boring, nothing, pathetic shows, as they always have been. Well, not always, but for the past few years, especially now. But you knew that the PLEs were at least going to be good. Then WrestleMania broke that streak and it hasn't been the same since. Now they don't even have that. So every show for WWE is absolutely horrendous, even the PLEs. So AEW needs to set the standard for pay-per-views, and they are. So they need to keep doing that. They need to become known that it needs to become a fact and just universally accepted in the wrestling world that AEW are the king of pay-per-views. You tune in to a AEW pay-per-view, you are going to get an incredible night. And they have been doing that. And they need to keep doing that. So, as I say, that isn't something they need to start doing. That's something that they just need to keep doing. Now, I will say that the Dynamite specials that they do needs to be less, because then that kind of dilutes your pay-per-views. You know what I mean? Like when they're doing a Dynamite, but give it a special name, right? It's more of a event than it is a Dynamite. They need to do less of those. Do less of the special Dynamites, because you know what I mean. It kind of all mumbles together with the pay-per-views, and it just becomes a bit confusing to follow along with for casual fans. Keep your pay-per-views feeling special. That is number 6. Now, number 7. Number 7 isn't really a big deal. It's not really something that they are desperate to do or absolutely need to do. It's more of a personal preference, I'll be honest. Stages. Stages. And when I say stages, I mean the Titantron, the stage. That is what I mean. Now, AEW has a better stage than WWE. WWE's is just a stage. It's just a big screen. Every single event is a screen. That is it. That is it. WWE change up the stage once a year at WrestleMania. But on a personal preference kind of level, I absolutely love a stage. So if AEW started giving us different stages for each event, each pay-per-view that they do, it's some creative kind of memorable stage, because it's important. It's part of the presentation, which I'm going to go into after this. Spoiler. Like, do you remember, like, Armageddon back in the day, the old SmackDown stage with the fist, Bad Blood, that stage from back in the day? It just makes an event feel so much more special because it's different than the previous. Every single event is unique. Every single stage is different. It's kind of part of the fun of it, right? Part of the excitement is I can't wait to see what the stage is going to be. Now it's just WrestleMania, and that's it. So if AEW started doing that, I think that'd just add an extra bit of sauce to that company, an extra bit of sauce to their events, to their big pay-per-views. Just a personal preference. Again, not a big deal, just something. I love a stage. I love a stage, and I miss when each stage used to be unique and different. I used to look forward to seeing what the stage was going to be. One of the main things I used to look forward to on a pay-per-view back in the day for WWE was, I wonder what the stage is going to look like. We need that back. We need that back. Number 8 is very much along the same lines of that. Presentation. Now, similar for what I went over in, was it number 6? With the keep doing what you're doing with the pay-per-views. Similar with this. Keep doing what they're doing with the presentation, because have you seen the presentation for SummerSlam? Have you seen the graphics that they are going with? They are the worst graphics I have ever seen in my life. I could do better. You could do better. Your cat could do better. Me nan could do better. Anyone could do better than what they've cooked up for SummerSlam. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. It is the most graphic design is my passion, pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. They've just whipped out, I don't know, it's just a stadium with them standing next to it. It's awful. Presentation is Very important. It might not seem like it, but presentation is very important. Presentation is it's theme songs, it's the stage, it's a wrestler's look, it's the vibe of the show, the colors, graphics, match cards. Presentation is everything that visually you get, and that is very important. AEW does that well. They do it much better than WWE. So I ask that they just keep doing that. Keep your presentation up, because presentation, as I say, is very important. Look what WWE would do with presentation. Theme songs. Roxanne Perez just got Def Rebelled, who already had a Def Rebel theme song. So Roxanne Perez got Def Rebelled by Def Rebel. You know what I mean? They constantly ruin things. And SummerSlam, it's grey, silver, black, white. When it used to be orange, blue, yellow, summer colours, right? It's a party vibe. That kind of thing is very important. AEW does that well. I ask that they continue doing that, but even better, even bigger. The graphic, like look at the top left of this video right now. Those posters, incredible, right? Because you remember those posters, and then that makes you remember the pay-per-view and what happened on the pay-per-view. It's all so important. Look at how good those posters are. Incredible. If Judgment Day didn't have a fucking poster like that, it's not as memorable. But because it had an incredible poster, you remember everything about this. You see the poster every now and then you think back on the pay-per-view, brings back good memories. It's all very important. Number 9. We're getting to the end of this. Number 9. Connection with the fans and taking on board and listening to and accepting criticism. Now, WWE, it's non-existent over there. You have no connection with them. In fact, they go out their way to mess with you, troll with you. They know you want something. They give you the opposite on purpose. They brought back R-Truth because they had to, because the backlash was that much. But they purposely go out their way to mess with you, to screw with you. AEW needs to develop that real deep connection with the fans, which they have on a certain level already, but they need to work on it to a point where the fans of AEW know they have a voice and know it's heard. I'm sure they do already, but it needs to be even more, because there's been points where AEW has been heavily criticised and Tony Khan has kind of just either taken offence to it or just kind of shoved it under the rug. They need to show the fans that they are taking criticism on board and listening. They can't always give the fans what they want, because that would be very bad for that company. Because if you give the fans what they want constantly, it would be all over the place. There'd be a different champion each week. So we need to stop that. We can't do that. But they need to feel heard. They need to take on criticism. When AEW first came into existence, Cody Rhodes said, criticize us because we need it. We need to listen. We want you to criticize us so we can listen to you, take it on board. AEW's kind of ditched that since. They haven't really done that. They need to do it. It needs to become like a community feel in that company, like everyone is one big family. The fans, the company, the owner, the wrestlers, everyone is just part of it. Similar to what ECW was back in the day. It was just one big family, right? The wrestlers, Paul Heyman, the fans, it was just all one big kind of collective. If AEW develops that, where they take on criticism and they listen to fans and they implement what fans want to see more, and they don't just get offended by criticism, I think that would benefit them quite a lot. I mean, they already do it, right? They already do it more than WWE. I'm not saying they don't listen to the fans and they disrespect the fans. Absolutely not. They do it. They do it. Tony Khan does listen to fans. He makes certain decisions that the fans are asking for. But I'm just saying, it's similar to what I've said about the pay-per-views and the presentation. Keep doing it, but do it better. Do it more. Listen to criticism more. Take it on board. Listen to what fans are saying. When it comes to storylines and what fans want to see creatively, they want to see better storylines, they want to see more creativity, they want to see better moments. Take that on board. Listen to ideas, listen to the fans, make them feel heard, listened to, and appreciated, even more than you already do. Number 10. Now, this one is not as important as the others. It's not a big deal like the first few, especially that I went over. To be completely honest with you, and completely transparent as I always am, I was struggling to think of a 10th. I won't lie. But I can't call this video 9 simple ways, right? 9 is just a bad, I can't call it 9. That's just an annoying number. You're that close to 10, just make it 10. So I was struggling to think of one. But I came to the decision of making number 10 big. Create and give us big moments on Dynamite consistently. Because if you think of the best things and most talked about things we've witnessed on Dynamite, Raw, SmackDown throughout history, most of them are moments, right? Segments, moments, promos, Attitude Era, Mr. McMahon, Stone Cold, all those moments that you had together, that they had together. We'll all remember forever, or at least go back and watch and be entertained by if we didn't get to witness it, right? Moments are things that you go back and watch for years to come. You might go back and watch a match, but I guarantee it's more likely that you'd go back and watch a moment, a segment, something involved in a storyline, a promo. It's just more memorable. It's bigger. They need to do that more consistently on their weekly shows. Again, another thing that would make people tune in more every week. Big moments that make you go, oh my God, I can't believe they just did that on Dynamite. Did you see what they did on Dynamite? I'm going to watch that on repeat because it was incredible what they did last night. Hangman Page burning down the house of Swerve. You know what I mean? Something like that. Something like that. Things like that. They need to do more of because that is something you'll remember for a very long time. Something that you put in the video library, you show highlights of for the rest of time. Rather than just a good match. You know what I mean? They need to do more of that. Anyway. That was 10 simple ways that AEW can at least come close to overtaking WWE. Putting WWE on their arse because they need it. And we all benefit in the process. If AEW does well, WWE has to do better. And we all win as a wrestling fan base of either company. We all win. Anyway. Let me know what you thought. Let me know any others that I didn't say that you would do, you would implement, you would improve about the company. Let me know.